I took a night shift at a retail store and discovered sinister rules that haunt the cursed aisles. Jamie stepped into the murky glow of Rapgo, the last failing retail store in the once bustling Greenfield suburb, and the feeling hit her like a brick. Something wasn't right. The flickering fluorescent lights made it look like a ghost town, not the lively atmosphere she'd hoped for. The peeling walls seemed to whisper, drenched in despair, as shadows lurked in corners waiting to leap out. She'd only just taken the night shift to keep a roof over Mia's head, but now, with each step deeper into the store, a taste of dread filled her mouth. The break room featured a bulletin board that sent chills down her spine. Never wander outside after midnight. If you hear your name called, ignore it. Do not break the aisle barriers. At first, she laughed it off as sick pranks from bored employees. Yet, as the hours dragged on, each rule echoed ominously in her mind, amplifying her unease. After all, this wasn't just retail, it was a graveyard of broken dreams. Around 3 a.m., the lights dimmed even further, as if the store itself was taking a breath, deep and heavy. Whispers of Jamie floated through the air, chilling her to the bone. They turned from playful mischief to anxious panic, clawing at her sanity. Her heart raced at the flash of Mia's face in her mind, a sharp reminder that she had someone to protect. She shook her head to dismiss the fear, but the shadows began to stretch longer, as if reaching for her, reminding her she hadn't escaped her past. It was following her. Mark, the overly cheerful clerk, casually mentioned a former employee who vanished without a trace. Just disappeared one night, he chuckled, but his eyes betrayed him, shadowed with unease. They lingered on a row of flickering lights above, as if fearing something might come crashing down at any second. The tension in the air thickened, dragging Jamie further down into the gaping maw of uncertainty. The crew, a curious mix of nervous Tony, secretive Lila, and grizzled Ron with haunted eyes, sat around like tired ghosts, sharing hushed tales of bad luck and strange, twisted experiences. Ron warned, "Stick to the rules, or something might take a liking to you." Those words stuck in Jamie's throat, the oppressive dread filling her lungs. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As midnight struck, Jamie's instinct screamed at her to flee. The sound of rustling, punctuated by distant cries, sent her pulse racing. And then she heard it, a voice, soft yet achingly familiar. Mom, Mia. Tears pricked her eyes, a mix of fear and desperate love tightening around her heart. Paralyzed, Jamie could feel something lurking beyond the aisle. It was ancient, hungry. Would she break the rule and risk whatever malevolence brewed in shadowed corners, or heed the chilling warnings woven into the eerie atmosphere? With her heart racing and the clock ticking, Jamie stood frozen between fear and the longing to protect her child. She took a deep breath, fighting against the thick dread, and stepped into the dark unknown, feeling the whispers swell into a rapturous crescendo, each one pulling her deeper into the night. The air around Jamie grew dense like the weight of a heavy fog. Each step she took into the aisle felt like pulling against an unseen force, gravity weighing her down. The whispers intensified, sending chills rippling down her spine as they echoed her name. Jamie. Mia's voice pierced through the cacophony, blurring the line between reality and nightmare. Mom. It was a sound she couldn't ignore. Pressing forward, Jamie strained her eyes to see beyond the flickering lights, searching for any semblance of her daughter. The aisles loomed, tall and menacing, transforming into shadowy sentinels guarding secrets held too close. Stay close to the barriers. Ron's warning replayed in her mind. But logic had long since fled, drowned by the urgency of a mother's love. Heart racing, she stepped past a barrier, her breath coming in ragged gasps and leaving her throat raw. Each footfall reverberated, amplifying the eerie quiet around her. Suddenly, the lights overhead blinked out completely, plunging the aisle into complete darkness. Panic surged within her, an electric current shooting through her veins. Her hands trembled. "Mom!" It called again, and this time, it was terrified. "Stay where you are, Mia!" Jamie shouted, desperation creeping into her voice, but she couldn't tell where the sound was coming from. The walls felt like they were closing in, breathing heavily, squeezing hope out of her. As if in response, a low growl emanated from the shadows, deep, guttural, threatening. Jamie was paralyzed, rooted to the spot. Then, from that abyss, something stirred, whispering promises of despair. She could feel it, an insatiable hunger lurking, waiting, desperate to devour. "Stay away!" Her own voice was muffled now, drowned by the growing tempest in her mind. Every nerve blared warning signs, but a flicker of determination ignited within her. She turned, intent on retracing her steps back to safety. But then the voice called again, softer, yet more convincing. "Mom, I need you." And there she was, standing at the end of the aisle, the unmistakable silhouette of Mia. Jamie's heart leaped. Was it really her daughter? Surely, she had to be imagining this, but the instinct to run to her child overrode any trepidation. "Mia, I'm coming." As she rushed forward, the lights flickered back to life, illuminating the aisle in a sterile glow. Jamie halted, breath hitched in disbelief. The figure before her began to morph, its edges blurring into something altogether different. The sweet visage of her daughter twisted and contorted into something grotesque, the familiar smile sinking into a haunting sneer. "No!" she gasped, her heart plummeting into the depths of despair. At that moment, the store echoed with laughter, joyless, hollow, echoing across the aisles, wrapping around her like a noose. Jamie knew she had made a mistake, crossing unseen lines designed to keep her safe, and now the true terror was unfolding. The shadows deepened around her, whispers compiling into a symphony of madness. "You played our game," one hissed. "Now you belong to us." Mind racing, panic gripped her. She needed to escape this nightmare before it consumed her. But as she turned to find her way back to the break room, she stumbled, realizing the layout of the store had shifted into an unrecognizable labyrinth, each aisle bending and twisting in ways that defied logic. With breath shallow and heart hammering, she screamed Mia's name, scrambling to find her way out, not knowing what horrors lay beyond the confines of the cursed store, what else awaited her as she traversed the treacherous aisles. And would she see her daughter again, or was this only the beginning of her nightmare? Jamie darted around a corner, breath catching in her throat as her pulse thundered in her ears. The laughter echoed all around her, disembodied and cruel, mocking her every desperate move. "Mia!" The name tore from her lips, panic sharper than the cold air biting at her skin. She scanned the spaces around her, but only shadows stared back, black tendrils waiting to ensnare her. The fluorescent lights buzzed with an unsettling flicker, casting eerie, dappled shadows on the floor. It felt like the store was alive, like it was breathing, growing, pulsating with an energy that made her skin crawl. The whispers grew louder, weaving tales of despair that clung to the air. "You're too late." She stepped forward, shaking her head, desperately trying to drown out the noise, to find a path, any path. But each twist and turn only plunged her deeper into a nightmarish maze. The aisles loomed larger now, grotesque figures that threatened to lock her in. "Please let me find her," Jamie pleaded, voice breaking, but the shadows conspired against her. Suddenly, through the dim haze, a glimmer caught her eye. Was it a hint of movement, or just her imagination? She hesitated only a moment before racing toward the flicker. As she approached, the brightness flickered again, revealing a small alcove at the end of the aisle. Heart pounding, she turned the corner, praying for a miracle. But the alcove was empty save for a warped reflection of herself in a cracked mirror. She looked disheveled, wild-eyed, like a stranger. The laughter erupted once more, this time right behind her. Jamie whirled around, heart racing. "No!" Her scream echoed into the void. In place of joy, an ominous veil of dread hung thick. There was something or someone behind her, she just knew it. With a surge of adrenaline, she bolted, racing back through the twisting aisles. Each footstep felt heavy, as if the ground itself wanted to drag her down into its depths. Mia! She cried, but her voice felt small against the rising tide of terror. Out of instinct, she dove into another aisle, heart pounding hard against her ribcage. Desperation clawed at her throat as she pressed her back against the cold metal shelving. She was drowning in darkness. As silence descended, she caught her breath, trembling, peering into the shadows. There it was again, that snatch of movement. She squinted, straining her eyes, hoping against hope. A figure stepped into view, barely illuminated by the flickering edges of the fluorescent lights. Mia. It was a diminutive silhouette, familiar yet uncanny. Tears sprang to her eyes. "Is that you?" The figure turned, and for a heart-stopping moment, Jamie saw the unmistakable shimmer of hope. But then the expression morphed into that same sinister grin. No one could recreate such a mimicry. It twisted into an unnatural form, the hollow gaze locking onto her with an expression of hunger. "We've been waiting for you," the figure whispered, voice a chilling echo of her daughter. Jamie stumbled back, mind racing. "What do you want from me?" The walls seemed to close in, suffocating her in fear. As laughter erupted all around her, the aisles seemed to pulse, drawing her in, threatening to swallow her whole. The room spun, and the echoes of distorted voices began to chant, join us." In that moment, clarity broke through the chaos. She had to escape. She had to find the way out. Jamie's heart sank as she spun around, facing another darkened corner, feeling the ominous presence behind her. Desperation overtook her, and with one last yell for Mia, she sprinted forward, intent on breaking free from the clutches of darkness. What awaited her at the end of this twisted path? And would she ever find her daughter again, or was she already lost in the depths of the store's malevolent grasp? Jamie stumbled forward, her feet slapping against the cold linoleum, breathless with dread. The laughter and whispers clawed at her sanity, growing louder as if the shadows themselves were mocking her. "This isn't real," she murmured, clenching her fists, willing herself to believe it. The flickering lights overhead created a strobe effect, making everything feel disorienting and surreal. Suddenly, she froze. The doorway to the stockroom. It loomed just ahead, a potential escape. She darted towards it, but the shadows danced, stretching across the floor like tendrils reaching out to snatch her back. A sliver of light shone through the cracked door. Hope surged, but terror gripped her like a vice. What if it was a trap? Keep running. She urged herself, feet pounding faster. As she reached the door, it swung open with a creak that echoed like a cry of despair. Stepping inside, she was swallowed by darkness, the air thick and stale, almost suffocating. She fumbled forward, hands brushing against shelves stacked high with boxes, the faint smell of dust and decay filling her nostrils. There was no going back now. The laughter faded, replaced by a heavy silence that made her senses scream. Jamie turned her head, catching a glimpse of movement to her left. Her heart raced as she squinted into the shadows. "Mia." Her whisper felt like a prayer. But no answer came. Instead, the silence extended, stretching into a living entity that pressed against her. She took a cautious step forward, feeling the cold metal of a shelf graze her arm, a tiny flicker of a memory guiding her. In a desperate attempt to drown out the encroaching dread, she thought of Mia's laugh, the way it lightened the darkened corners of her life. "Stay calm," she breathed, and in that moment, a resonating thump echoed from the far end of the storeroom. Her limbs stiffened, eyes wide, searching for the source. Then she saw it, a shadow, rising and falling, like the breathing of a monstrous entity. The silhouette was massive, stretching against the far wall, its outline clumsy and outlandish. Jamie could feel its gaze on her, heavy and hungry. "Mia!" She screamed, every fiber of her being screaming to flee, but something held her steadfast. The shadow flickered, and a low chuckle reverberated through the air, chilling her to the bone. "Join us," it hissed, the voice sliding beneath her skin like ice. Jamie turned and stumbled backward, crashing against a stack of boxes that toppled over with a dull thud. Panic surged anew, pushing her to escape. She dashed towards the door, adrenaline propelling her as she felt the dark energy behind her close in, a suffocating weight like a predator stalking its prey. Just as she reached the threshold, something gripped her shoulder, and Jamie spun around, her heart ready to burst. It was another figure, not Mia but an unfamiliar face contorting in horror, eyes wide and pleading. "You shouldn't have come here." Before she could respond, the figure's mouth stretched into that same mocking grin. "It's too late for you." Without a second thought, Jamie surged forward and burst through the door, but the bright lights that had filled her with hope now flickered ominously. Outside, the store was eerily still, the walls pulsing with a life of their own. "Mia!" she screamed, desperation flooding her voice. A sense of dread coiled tightly within her, intertwining with resolve. Had she left Mia behind? Suddenly, the ground shook beneath her feet, a low growl rumbling from the depths of the store. The whispers started again, rising to a crescendo, drowning out everything else. Join us, what awaited her at the heart of the store. Jamie closed her eyes, her breath hitching, wondering what terrible truth lay hidden deep among these cursed aisles. Would she uncover the secrets or lose herself forever? The ground quaked, each tremor sending ripples of fear through Jamie's already frayed nerves. She staggered back, heart racing, pushing through the doorway into the flickering light of the main store. Panic flooded her system, but now, it felt different. Swallowed. It was there, lurking. The thick darkness from the stockroom no longer felt like a divide, it was a looming presence, a reminder that something hunted her. "Mia!" she shouted again, voice echoing against the empty shelves. She needed to find her friend, but dread coiled tighter around her gut. How could she look before knowing what might pounce? The lights overhead continued to blink like a malfunctioning heartbeat, casting erratic shadows that danced mockingly. She turned slowly, eyes flickering to every corner. An impulse clawed at her, urging her towards the aisles that stretched before her like fingers reaching into a pit. Clenching her fists, Jamie took a step forward, but the sound of her heartbeat echoed back. That chilling whisper lingered still in the air. "Join us." Without thinking, she sprinted down the aisle, ducking into a narrow passageway that wound between stacks of boxes. Cold sweat rolled down her back as the laughter returned, wrapping around her like vines, squeezing tighter each moment. Suddenly, a door slammed shut at the end of the aisle, a resounding boom that halted her breath. Jamie's heart raced with a mix of fear and curiosity. A flicker of hope danced as she contemplated the possibility of escape through that door. She approached slowly, each step weighed down by a heavy sense of dread. What if Mia was beyond it? Just before reaching for the handle, she hesitated. The shadows seemed to gather at the periphery of her vision, swirling and shifting. One shadow began to solidify, shaping into a familiar figure. "Mia?" Jamie whispered, the name coming out breathless. The figure stood too still, eyes blacker than the depths of the store. No warmth, just an empty gaze that pierced through her. "I'm here." Mia's voice sounded like a taunt, playful yet eerie. "I've found the others." Jamie's heart leaped into her throat. She was so close, yet something was off. As Jamie stepped closer, shadows snaked around Mia's feet. "You can join us," she grinned, stretching her mouth wider than seemed possible, sharp teeth glinting. "It's better here, no pain, no fear." The dark promises wrapped around Jamie, and she felt the tug. But a deep, instinctive part of her screamed to run, to fight against whatever twisted reality demanded her surrender. "No. I want to stay." With newfound resolve, Jamie spun on her heel, ready to bolt, but the room twisted, like a funhouse mirror reflecting back her terror. Shelves shifted, and the aisle warped, turning into a maze. Every corner looked the same, every shadow grew thicker, as if she was walking through the belly of a beast. "That's not how it works," a voice echoed from behind. Jamie turned, faces emerged, thronged eyes watching her, hollow expressions spinning in a chaotic dance of longing and dread. All the figures melded into one. "Join us," they chanted, an undulating chorus that wrapped around her mind. "No." Jamie screamed, desperation taking root as she bolted down another aisle. The whispers became a chant, a siren song calling her back, hungry for her compliance. Just ahead, a light flickered unsettlingly. Should she risk it? Or keep running? A chill raced down her spine, as she realized the light was no salvation but perhaps the very heart of this twisted reality where the heartbeats of the lost thrummed heavily like an echo from the depths. What have I done? She gasped, her breath coming in quick spurts. She needed to uncover the truth or be consumed by the void of whispers and shadows, losing everything she ever loved in the process. As she stumbled toward the flickering light, fingers of darkness crept closer, their grip tightening. Would what lay within grant her salvation or death? Jamie hesitated, heart in her throat, before stepping forward into the blinding glow. What would she find at the center of this cursed place? Was it hope or an even darker nightmare? Jamie stepped through the threshold, the blinding light consuming her. It was brighter than anything she'd seen, illuminating the grotesque figures that had lingered behind her, their shadowy whispers fading like a distant memory. The warmth enveloped her, almost soothing, but she could feel its chill creeping back, waiting at the edges. As her eyes adjusted, she realized she had entered another section of the store. This area was devoid of aisles, the open space dominated by a massive light fixture hanging eerily from the ceiling, casting an unnatural brightness that rendered the surroundings surreal. Rows of clothing racks stood like sentinels, their garments swaying slightly as if breathing, anticipating her next move. Mia. Her voice was tentative, swallowed by the oppressive silence that followed. The air felt different here, thick, almost suffocating, and cloyingly sweet as if coated in old dust and despair. Every step echoed against the sterile tiles, a reminder of her loneliness. She scanned the room for any sign of her friend, the fear gnawing at her insides intensifying with each passing moment. Join us. The familiar chilling chorus rippled through the air again, wafting like a tainted breeze, trying to worm its way into her mind. She gripped her head, heart racing, as panic surged. It was a deception, a trap designed to lure her in. Yet, some part of her felt magnetically drawn to the very sound that meant to ensnare her. Rounding a corner of a clothing rack, she was struck by a strange sight. Hanging from one of the displays was a grotesque mannequin. Its face twisted into a mocking grin, its painted eyes glinted with malice. As she stepped closer, she noticed it wore an outfit that looked all too familiar, the jacket Mia had been wearing when they entered the store. Jamie? A voice, softer than before but edged with urgency, surged out from behind her. She spun around, breath hitching in her throat, only to find nothing. Just then, a flurry of whispers broke the silence from the adjoining section, a group of voices echoing her name, calling from the dark. The unmistakable cadence was hauntingly sweet, somber yet laced with threat. Mia, where are you? Jamie called out desperately. Each shout felt like an offering, a provocation. She was met with silence, the oppressive sensory overload threatening to pull her down into a void she feared she would never escape. Stepping back, she bumped into another rack, initiating an avalanche of clothes that tumbled around her like the very shadows that stalked. Panic urged her to keep going. She spun around, her heart hammering as the voices grew louder, more insistent. Find her, join us. Jamie couldn't tell if she was running toward salvation or into the maw of madness itself. She began to sprint, dodging mannequins that loomed like phantoms in her periphery. A fluidity in her movement bore little relief, the shadows writhed and flickered, making her second-guess every instinct that told her to flee. Suddenly, a door appeared at the end of the space, ajar just enough to emit a tantalizing glow from within. Desperation clawed at her throat, but she feared what she might find behind that door. Was it a way out or worse, a new cage? Every fiber of her being screamed to trust the light, but she knew too well how darkness tricked the unwary. As she pulled herself toward the door, the air thickened, the whispers became frantic chants demanding her compliance. Join us, the chilling repetition rang through her thoughts, choking her resolve. Jamie took a breath, steadying herself. Just a little further. If Mia was there, she would find her. Silence echoed in her ears, as though the world held its breath. As she reached for the door, a chilling scream erupted behind her, slicing through the storm of noise. She turned, eyes wide with terror, heart dropping like a stone. What she saw froze her blood. Was it Mia? Or had another one of the lost souls turned to darkness? Without time to think, Jamie threw open the door, stepping into the beckoning light only to find herself faced with the unsettling unknown lurking on the other side. What awaited her? Hope or horror? And as the whispers grew louder, she realized the choice would soon be taken from her. Would she dare to confront what lay ahead? Would she find her friend in this darkness, or was she doomed to join the chorus? The door swung open, light spilling in like a flood, but Jamie hesitated on the threshold. The chill that had begun to creep back wrapped itself around her ankles, urging her to stay. With trepidation, she took a step inside, confronting the blinding radiance. What she found was not an escape. Instead, it was a maze of warped reflections. Mirrors lined the walls, giving rise to a hall of endless versions of herself, each wearing that same terrified expression. She was drowning in her own reflection while the whispers swirled around her, now a chorus rising to a fever pitch. Join us, join us. Her heart raced. The echoing words twisted in her mind, they felt alive, worming into her thoughts. The reflections in the mirrors began moving independently, mocking her panic. They grinned and twisted, their movements growing mocking, yet somehow seductive. Mia. She called again, voice trembling, the fear palpable in every syllable. The way it danced just beyond her reach fueled her dread. Where are you? One of the reflections lunged forward, but it wasn't her own. No, this one had long, tangled hair, a wildness in her eyes that made Jamie's skin prickle. It couldn't be. The spectre mimicked Mia, twisting its face into her friend's features, but the light in its eyes was a feral hunger. Mia? Is that you? Jamie's voice wavered, caught between hope and horror. Join us, Jamie. Become one of us. The mirrored Mia taunted, a smile spreading across her face that was so wrong it sent a jolt of fear straight to Jamie's bones. With a scream echoing her dread, Jamie turned and ran deeper into the reflected void. The mirrors seemed to close in, narrowing the path. She flung herself through the disorienting corridor, dodging the mocking faces that reached for her. Breath coming in ragged gasps, she searched frantically for another way. Suddenly, she stumbled to a halt. Ahead loomed another door, a heavy, wooden barrier that stood out starkly against the bright chaos. It was ajar, a slot of darkness beckoning her. Movement flickered in the shadows beyond it. Jamie. Help me. Mia's voice. Desperate. It broke through the clamor, cracking through the layers of disorientation like sunlight breaking clouds. Jamie's heart lurched. Was it really her? Or yet another trap devised by whatever crochet of fear was coiling around her? Behind her, the whispers turned vicious, the voices hissing accusations, drowning out Mia's plea. Don't leave, join us, you're just like us. No. Jamie yelled, shaking her head, the words spilling forth like a mantra. I'm not like you. She turned and bolted forward, slinging herself through the door. The moment she crossed the threshold, she was engulfed by darkness. The door slammed shut behind her, the sound reverberating like a gunshot in the stillness. She stood uncertain, eeriness seeping into her bones, the oppressive silence almost deafening, but Mia's voice persisted. Help me, Jamie. It was softer here, the tone thick with sorrow. The pitch curled around her insides, both fading and echoing, urging her deeper into the abyss. As her eyes adjusted, shadows morphed into familiar shapes. Wooden shelves lined the walls, littered with toys and forgotten trinkets, relics of innocence. The air grew stale, clinging to her skin. Jamie stepped cautiously, feeling the weight of unseen eyes watching. Where are you, Mia? She whispered, dread clawing at her throat. Almost instinctively, she reached out, grazing her fingers along the dusty shelves, memories of childhood brushing against her thoughts. The last thing she expected was a laugh, deep, rumbling, and ominous. Why do you seek her? She belongs with us now. Jamie's blood ran cold, the words originating from the shadows at the far side of the room. A figure emerged, cloaked in darkness, its face concealed, yet she could feel its gaze boring into her. "Join us," it hissed, the chorus growing strong behind it. Just then, a piercing scream erupted in the darkness, a visceral sound that filled the air like shattering glass, ripping through everything. It felt oddly familiar, and Jamie's heart raced as she recognized it. No. Mia. She spun around, heart pounding, desperation clawing at her chest. The shadows writhed as the figure advanced, slowly closing in. With each step, Jamie felt the pull of the darkness grow stronger, threatening to swallow her whole. What was happening to Mia? And why did that laugh feel like a memory? With a burst of adrenaline, Jamie ran deeper into the store of horrors. Every corner turned was shrouded in uncertainty, and the darkness swarmed like a living thing, reaching for her, and somewhere in the depth, she could feel it. The horrifying truth lurked beneath. Would she find Mia, or was this store bound to consume both of them? As the figure laughed again, a chilling promise in its tone, Jamie knew one thing: she had to keep running until the very end. What if she didn't find Mia in time? What if this time, she truly became one of them? The shadows pulsed behind her, a living darkness that threatened to consume Jamie with every flicker of movement. She could almost feel their breath on the back of her neck, a chill that made the hairs stand on end. The laughter echoed again, wrapping around her like a serpent, tightening its grip. "Come back, Jamie," it hissed, each word a jagged edge tearing at her sanity. "Mia is safe with us." "No." Jamie screamed, the denial spilling from her lips as she ran. Her rational mind fought against the insanity of the situation, but the darkness twisted around her thoughts, wrapping them in webs of fear. Was Mia truly lost? She dashed into an aisle filled with children's toys. The dim lighting highlighted the forlorn faces of the dolls, their glassy eyes watching with a truth Jamie wished to deny. Each step felt heavier, the weight of dread pressing down on her. The distance between her and that ominous figure felt like a heartbeat, a reminder that time was slipping away. "Mia!" Jamie cried again, and her voice fractured under the strain. "Please, where are you?" Suddenly, a soft rustling came from behind a shelf, and her heart leaped. "Jamie!" That voice was unmistakable yet laced with anguish. Each syllable was a haunting echo, pulling her closer. "Hang on, I'm coming." She stumbled toward the sound, almost tripping over a scattered assortment of forgotten toys, stuffed animals, dolls, and blocks, all witnesses to her frantic journey, but shadows coiled tighter around her as she approached. The chilling laughter continued, a sinister reminder that she was not alone. "She's in your mind, Jamie. It's too late. Join us." Jamie shook her head violently, the internal conflict growing unbearable. Was the darkness truly real? Was her friend lost forever? The whispering grew louder, and she felt the walls closing in. Panic surged through her, and she rounded a corner, coming across a large, ornate mirror. A reflection stared back at her, not her own but a twisted caricature, mouth twisted into a faux smile, eyes devoid of light. "Look at you, Jamie," the reflection taunted, voice dripping with malice. "What would Mia say if she saw you like this? Afraid? Alone?" "No!" Jamie shouted, and before she could hesitate, she smashed her fist against the glass. Pain jolted through her, but it shattered the illusion. The pieces fell away, and in their wake, she glimpsed something terrifying, a glimpse of nothingness, a dark abyss ready to swallow her whole. Just then, Mia's voice broke through the chaos. "Jamie, please. You have to save me." It was filled with desperation, and the sound ignited a flame of hope in Jamie's heart. "I will." Jamie screamed, racing past the remnants of the mirror and into the darkness that surrounded her. With every step, the shadows pressed closer, clawing at her heels. The air grew suffocating, almost liquid, and Jamie felt an urge to scream. She looked back, half expecting the cloaked figure to loom directly behind her. But there was only emptiness, an echo of her fears. "Mia!" She called, her voice falling into the dark void. Where are you? From the shadows, shapes coalesced. They were the children from the toys' faces peering, eyes wide and staring. Join us, Jamie, they chanted, leering and giggling. Their voices were chilling, sending waves of ice down her spine. Suddenly, she spotted a figure huddled in the corner, shivering. It was a girl, clutching her knees to her chest, shrouded in a filthy garment. Jamie, the girl whispered, fragile and broken. Mia. Jamie's heart raced. She rushed forward but halted a mere foot away. The girl looked up, and Jamie's blood ran cold. The features were wrong, twisted in a way that clawed at her mind. This was no longer her friend. Join us, the girl crooned, stretching a hand toward Jamie. No. Jamie recoiled, panic surging. The figure in the corner morphed into the shadows behind her, merging seamlessly. Always watching, always waiting. In that moment, Jamie stumbled backward, her heart hammering. She was trapped in a nightmare that blurred the lines between reality and illusion. With renewed determination, Jamie turned and ran, racing down the aisles. The laughter followed her, a haunting reminder that no matter how fast she moved, the darkness was always one step behind. But as she ran, she felt the whisper of wind on her back, a touch of something electric. Was it hope? Or was it the shadows beckoning her to finally give in? The store loomed before her, a massive doorway of darkness, unstable and hungry. Jamie could feel it calling her, a place where everything twisted into the unknown. What awaited her there? Was Mia lost forever, or could she still find a way to save her friend before it was too late? Every heartbeat echoed a truth in her mind: this fight was far from over, and with each step toward the door, she knew one thing: the shadows would never let go. As Jamie approached the looming darkness of the doorway, a thick fog of dread rolled over her, urging her to turn back. The whispering shadows seemed to pulse with hunger, vibrating in rhythm with her racing heart. She hesitated, recalling the chilling words of that fractured reflection. Look at you, Jamie. With a deep breath, she plunged into the gloom, expecting to collide with an army of shadowy figures, ready to drag her into the depths of despair. Instead, an eerie stillness enveloped her, almost suffocating. The air was thick with the smell of something rotten, an old, metallic scent that coated the inside of her mouth. Jamie squinted into the darkness, searching for Mia. Mia. She called, her voice trembling. Each echo twisted through the aisles like smoke, fading into nothingness just as quickly as it appeared. As her eyes adjusted, she began to catch glimpses of familiar shapes: the checkouts, the shelves, each aisle spilling out into the other in an endless maze. But they were warped, bent at grotesque angles, as if the very structure of the store had transformed in the night. The cheerful pastel colors of the toys faded into a monochrome blur, the bright lights flickering overhead like fading stars. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught her attention. A figure darted down the aisle to her left, arms flailing, the face shrouded in shadow. Mia. Jamie's voice quivered, hope battling against the weight of fear. The figure froze. Jamie. Help me. It was Mia's voice, but strained and distant. They're coming. Desperation ignited within Jamie, and she sprinted towards the voice. Just as she reached the end of the aisle, the store somehow shifted again, forcing a chilling realization inside her. The children's laughter, once distant, now roared from all directions, an eerie symphony of chaos. Join us, Jamie. They sang, high-pitched and sarcastic, each note laced with malice. She covered her ears, stumbling backward, heart hammering in her chest. Mia. She shouted once more, fighting her way through the shadows that thrashed around her. Where are you? I'm Mia's voice cut off abruptly, replaced by a cacophony of screams and laughter that drowned out everything. In the chaos, Jamie noticed something crawling along the wall, a dark, slimy bead, writhing like worms. It linked every child's toy, every shadow, together in a grotesque web of laughter and despair. Who were they, she wondered. What had happened to Mia? The floor beneath her feet began to rumble, vibrating with a low growl like a beast rousing from sleep. The shadows shifted violently, and Jamie felt a pull as if they were trying to drag her down with them. She clenched her fists, stepping toward the darkness at the center of it all. Every instinct screamed to run, but she couldn't abandon Mia. "I won't leave you." She yelled into the abyss. Just then, a firm hand gripped her wrist. Jamie gasped, spinning around to face a figure veiled in shadow. Was it Mia? No, this figure towered too tall, cloaked in layers of darkness that rippled like a living thing. "Come with us, Jamie," it spoke, voice deep and resonant, echoing in her mind. "You will never be alone again." Guided by impulse, she yanked free, wrenching her arm from the figure's grasp. "No. Let me go." With every ounce of strength, she pushed forward, blazing deeper into the store. The laughter grew louder, the shadows thicker. "Leave her," she heard faintly, "perhaps Mia." Then, like a door slamming shut, silence rushed in, the world around her faded, and for a fleeting moment, she wasn't running anymore. The darkness became a solid thing, a wall surrounding her in an impenetrable shroud. In that instant of stillness, a chilling thought pierced through the quiet, the last remnants of hope flickering like a dying candle. What if I can't find her? The shadows whispered again, and this time, they were right behind her, hungry, waiting. What lay beyond this chilling silence? Would Jamie find Mia, or would she remain lost forever among the cursed isles, swallowed by darkness? As her heart hitched with fear, she prepared to face whatever horror awaited her, knowing the final push was just ahead. Jamie pushed through the suffocating darkness, the whispers receding but still gnawing at her thoughts. The weight of despair pressed on her chest. "Mia," she called again, voice trembling but resolute. Every corner turned felt like lost moments, shadows stretching endlessly before her. Suddenly, the shadows coalesced into something recognizable. She stood in the very aisle where she had first heard Mia's name called. Her heart raced as memory flickered like the fluorescent lights. "I won't fail you again," she whimpered, emboldened by determination to find her daughter. Just then, the air shifted, and a pulsing light emerged at the far end. Was it the way out? Hope surged, but dread whispered its deceitful promises. "Join us." They seemed to taunt. Ignoring the advice from her past, Jamie sprinted toward the light, the ground beneath vibrating with her urgency. As she neared, Jamie froze. There it was, a figure curled on the floor, shrouded in shadows but undeniably familiar. "Mia!" she cried, rushing forward. The figure turned slowly, revealing the frightened eyes of her daughter, hollow yet sparkling with recognition. Jamie fell to her knees, reaching out. "I'm here. I'm so sorry." The pull of despair still lingered in the air, her mind racing about the shadows that surrounded them. Would they take Mia again? "Mama," Mia whispered, voice small and scared, reaching for Jamie's hand. "They won't let us go." The shadows lurked closer, dark tendrils curling like smoke, surrounding Jamie and Mia. As they closed in, the laughter swelled, growing ominously louder, feeding on their fear. Jamie's heart sank but steadied again. "I'm not afraid of you," she yelled, voice filled with fierce love. "You can't have us." Mia's expression changed, the fear morphing into an eerie calmness, and Jamie felt the shadows recoil slightly. "We go together, Mama," Mia said, and in that moment, Jamie caught a glimpse of the glimmering truth. In a wave of warm defiance, Jamie grasped Mia's hand tightly. Together. The shadows raged, but Jamie pressed forward. "You can't feed on us anymore. We won't join your darkness." She could feel the pull of the shadows resisting, but combined, they radiated a brilliant light, love, hope, and unshakable resolve. The shadows writhed, twisting and contorting, but the brilliance of their spirits surged forward. As if the very air ignited, the darkness erupted in a cacophony of shrieks. Jamie clutched Mia closer as the blinding light engulfed them wholly, a protective embrace lifting them within, and then silence. They stood together on the threshold of the store, the welcoming glow of dawn spilling through the glass doors, the landscape vibrant and serene. The store loomed behind them, stripped of its sheen, echoing nothing but the remnants of shadows dispersing into a gentle mist. Jamie turned, gripping her daughter's shoulders tightly, relief flooding through her. "You're here, we did it." Mia smiled, her eyes bright and alive again. "You found me, Mama." With tears streaming down her cheeks, Jamie pulled her daughter into an embrace, the warmth radiating through them both. They had escaped the nightmare together. As they walked down the steps of the store, Jamie felt the weight of her past begin to lift. They wouldn't succumb to darkness again. "Let us go home," she murmured, and in the soft glow of the morning light, they moved forward, hand in hand. The shadows remained locked behind the barrier of the cursed store, their cries fading like distant echoes. Here, where hope thrived, Jamie vowed never to return, and as they stepped onto familiar ground, bright whispers of a new day wrapped around them, promising a brighter journey ahead. Now, if you love this roller coaster of fear and hope, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Rating it with a like means you're helping others see this wild ride, so smash that button now. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. What do you think happened to the store? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand how vital their support is to keep the story alive. Get involved now, make your voice heard.